Hey Mark, how are you?
Yeah, real good. Thanks, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Really enjoyed our weekend away camping for a friend of ours' birthday this week. So it was awesome to catch up with you. And
You
again,
know,
catching up with you just 2 days later.
I know twice in a week. What's going on? I'm
I
still
know.
um I'm still recovering from the food coma from the weekend though.
It was awesome, wasn't it? The food, the two Johns, and the food they make is just crazy. And I
I
know a
know.
guy that made a really cool bread and butter pudding as well in a travel oven, but we'll get onto that later. So this might be a bit of a loaded question, but if I was to ask you what the best 12 accessory that you can put in a car is, what would you say?
I think I'm meant to say the travel buddy, but I'm probably gonna say the fridge, eh? But they're probably
I'm
like
just not sure you're going to get much of a channel out of I've got a fridge in my car. No?
cooled in my car.
Aircon,
Nah.
that's what that's for.
Cold beer is important. Maybe it could be. I don't know about the ethics of running a cocktail making channel in the car.
I guess if you're not drinking and driving them at the same time, it works. It depends how many passengers you can take, right?
That could be a spin-off channel.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's the late night Saturday channel. Clubbing. Cool. And at least you'd get some good conversation by some of your passengers, no doubt. It would be, could get
Definitely.
fruity. Awesome. So when did you first become aware of sort of 12-volt ovens, and what got you interested in using them?
So it was about 4 years ago, and I just installed the 12-volt system in my FJ Cruiser, and I just started Googling things. I think the whole tangent started because I was looking at 12-volt kettles, and somehow from searching 12-volt kettles, I ended down this rabbit hole where 12-volt ovens appeared. And it just made me so curious, but there was like no information on the internet about it whatsoever, except for one or two YouTube videos with people just showing them installed in their ute and then with a pie that they've got, but they don't really describe the pie or show whether it was delicious or wasn't delicious. And that's really important. And then
Yeah. I was going to say, you're the first person I've seen that's actually done anything about cooking. So, from that point of view, it's a really original channel.
yeah, it's sort of it's funny how it's all evolved, but it's been really fun because I definitely have no background in cooking whatsoever. Music's my background, not cooking.
Yeah, I was going to say the channel's got like a really great vibe, and I think that's a lot to do with you and the way you present it. Because, I guess in a way, a travel oven to a degree is a bit of a gimmick. And you've taken it from something that just cooks party pies and sausage, and you're turning out. If I think back to that video with the ramen that you did, that's like a restaurant quality meal out of a travel oven. Yeah, I mean, so where did the inspiration come from to just like try and one up yourself each time from starting off on a pie? How did you get to cooking restaurant style ramen?
So what kind of happened was it first started when we were on trips, and so obviously the very first thing I ever cooked in the Travel Buddy was a pizza. Um, and it was so we'd only acquired the oven the week before, and the pizza was the first thing we wanted to try. I bought a frozen pizza in Bright and then hidden it away, and then just put it in the oven. And we got to the top of Blue Rag, and the pizza was there, and we're like, "This is fantastic." But then
Yeah,
every time we thought about it, we'd be like, "I bet you we could cook something a bit better than a pizza." And then the original goal was like a roast lamb in there because we thought that would be the bee's knees, just to be able to rock up and have a roast lamb. And then we did that, and we were sort of like, now what? And then we ended up making cheesecakes, and then it's just progressed to become more and more next level.
yeah. So I think one of the things about the travel oven is you kind of see some negative comments around their performance, and is that something that people are getting it wrong when they set up the travel oven? What do you need to do to make sure you get it right from set up to preheating? Where do you with that?
So it all depends. So if you're cooking while you're driving, the oven with the cigarette lighter plug will be absolutely perfect.
Okay.
It's when I think a lot of the complaints that people have about them are when you're trying to cook in camp. Because when you cook in camp, especially if you've got AGM batteries, as your batteries get lower and lower, the temperature of the oven will run colder. And so probably the first two things I'd do if I was setting up my travel buddy for cooking in camp and things like that is, first of all, to pretty much cut off the cigarette lighter plug and either hardwire it to a fuse block or put an Anderson plug on it, just so that it's got the best chance of getting a stable power connection. Because sometimes as well, I noticed that the cigarette lighter plug would get hot on mine because it's drawing like 10 amps. And so I do know that some other brands come already done with the Anderson plug connected on it. And I think with Travel Buddy, you can if you order direct from the manufacturer, they can put it on for you.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Because I guess one thing about four-wheel driving as well is that you can get the corrugation and bumps and ruts that could potentially shake your cigarette plug out of the socket anyway. And you're not going to get that with Anderson, are you?
No, once it's Anderson, it's connected and it's not going anywhere. But so I guess after you do the Anderson plug, the other thing that's really worth considering, mainly if you're running lead acid or AGM batteries or sort of that older style of battery, running a step-up converter. So what that does is it takes whatever voltage. So the one I'm running in my car is from 13. It runs up to 13.8 volts. So it'll take anything from like 11 volts and convert it up to 13.8. And this uses more amps, but what it does is it guarantees a consistent power feed to the oven, which I was skeptical at first, but then I started running one on mine about 3 years ago, and it made such a huge difference to the cook times, how quickly it warmed up, how consistently the oven remained hot. Because what I was initially finding was the oven would, as the longer you cooked it, the temperature would taper off, and that's really disappointing, especially if you're trying to cook something like a pastry and it just seems to never cook.
Yeah, it doesn't it stays kind of soggy and doesn't crisp up.
Yeah, soggy and disappointing, and ends up as an outtake.
So I guess with that said, what would you say? I'm sure you've got some blooper reel that you're going to share at some point on the channel for things that didn't quite go as you planned. So what would you say were the top 3 successful dishes and the bottom 3 disasters? What would they be?
Okay, I'll start with the disasters first. First disaster was I tried to make cookies while in Sunny Corner State Forest, and we were climbing down rock steps and doing all sorts of things, and just ended up with this one blob of cookie dough that was kind of burnt on the sides as well, where it had kind of like touched the tray too much, and it was just this disappointing blob of there.
Not good.
So number 2 disappointment would be let me think. So second fail, no, this would be the number 1 fail, so let me think of the second fail. Sorry, there's been a few, so I've got to think about it.
You always cut that out of the videos, I notice.
What do you mean? Instagram's always perfect. I had one incident with some meat pies pretty early on. No, it wasn't meat pies, it was Chico rolls. Early on, where we were going down some bumpy tracks, and I didn't have a latch on the door, and we were just using the wire trays. And we lost all of the rolls, all of the chicken rolls out the back of the oven, and they were all over, like, just all over the floor. There was pastry everywhere. There was the filling. It was soggy. It was just disappointing.
Okay, that's not good. And what's your number one failure?
Number one, without a doubt, I was cooking pies in the Wadigan State Forest. I got tremendously stuck. It had been raining. It was on a track called Lemon Tree. Some people will know what that means. I just followed the map because I thought I was going to look out, and it just turned out to be this gnarly, muddy bog where I got stuck and didn't have a winch. All I had was a shovel and some Max Tracks, and I was digging for about 4 hours, and the back door was like stuck in a point where I couldn't get it open. And in my setup, I need to be able to get it open to get to the oven to turn it off. And yeah, so pretty much everything inside, it was just this char grilled mess. And it was terrible.
So I'm going to put that one down to user error, though. Not really. You can't really blame the oven for that one, right?
Oh, no, 110% user error. It's all my fault as well for building it into a cabinet that requires the door to open. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the area of positivity, what have been the top three? What's the big successes?
Okay. Number three, definitely nachos on the beach. It was the first day of summer, the first time we made nachos, and it was just excellent. Sun was out, and it just produced this perfectly melted cheese, loaded nachos. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing, next chance I get to go to the beach, I'll definitely be doing an episode on how to make nachos.
Right.
And
cool.
So number two would be probably the ramen. The pork just turned out to be so tender, and it stayed in its roll, and it turned out exactly looking like the restaurant one, which just made me so happy because we were eating it on a farm in the middle of the Central West, and we had sake and chopsticks, and it all felt really legit.
Yeah, so that's never happened on that farm before.
No, absolutely not. And that's what kind of my Instagram, my YouTube channel is all about, is just bringing food to places that it shouldn't be. So having these ridiculous meals in locations that they shouldn't be there. And I guess that brings us to number one, which is the bread and butter pudding that I made on Saturday night, which you guys will be seeing on YouTube probably in 2 weeks. I've got to edit it all up. I've actually got it on the computer just here, sort of getting ready to be cut together. Right. And that there, it was my first experience doing bread and butter pudding. Yeah, it just turned out delicious.
Well, I'm going to tell your fans they have to watch that episode, because obviously I was lucky enough to be there and try it. And, obviously being a dessert, we'd already had some fantastic food. But the smell of that bread and butter pudding, when it came out, everybody managed to make some room for some pudding. That was awesome. I think the smell reminded me, I don't know if it's a UK thing and you had it here, but the old Bisto gravy adverts where the kids used to float through the air on the smell of Bisto. I'm sure you didn't have that. It's probably...
I'm going to have to Google that ad, I'm honest.
But if you check it out, you'll see it. And that was exactly how I felt like I just floated back towards the back of your car when that came out. It was unbelievable.
Excellent. Goal achieved.
So I've noticed that you've got some custom trays and things like that you use, because they're kind of a strange size in the travel oven, right? So I've myself have got one, and I went to Aldi and bought some pans, and they don't quite fit on the shelf. And then when I was watching your channel, I noticed that you had these awesome looking custom trays that fit perfectly. So tell us about them.
Okay, so the tray, there's a few different manufacturers that make the trays now, but the ones I use are made by Rory at Somerville Metalworks, and he makes a whole bunch of accessories specifically for the Travel Buddy, Road Chef, Kick-Ass, and yeah, pretty much all of the variants of the travel ovens that are out there. And he's been doing it for a few years now, and just the trays just fit. They just work, and the welds on them. It's like looking at like a stack of coins down each corner, and they're just a beautiful thing to look at. And
Yeah.
and I've just now pretty much I don't even know where the wire trays are for my oven anymore. They're somewhere, probably somewhere in this office actually. But yeah, I just if I'm going to cook something in the oven, straight in there, one of those trays goes in there. And
Okay. And you can just drop it straight on the bottom of the oven. No need for a rack.
so the single height trays, they won't fit with the racks in there. The
Okay.
double height one, you can just chuck it in there with or without the bottom rack. For some things, when you cook it, it's actually better to have it directly on the bottom of the oven.
Yeah.
Because I
just
found,
get that heat transfer.
yeah, because the element on the oven's at the bottom, just the heat transfer is really good. So if you're cooking something like chips, it's worth considering doing that because you'll actually be able to get it crisp.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I haven't tried chips in mine yet. But yeah, I went out and got a Somerville tray after seeing yours. And then I bought a few more accessories as well. I bought the whole rack that the oven sits in to go in the canopy of the Dot. And the quality that Rory makes is absolutely outstanding. It looks like aircraft grade engineering for a travel oven. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, it's just beautiful and stainless. For me, it's the dimple dies that do it. If I had a Ute, I'd definitely be putting one of them in.
Yeah, they make it look so cool. That's for sure, and obviously very functional because I've got the kick-ass version and the little hooks that they give you to
They're like,
hold it up. Yeah, they're like a little crab claw kind of idea that hold it. And look, I'm sure they would work, but you look like you could hang a battleship off the tray that Rory makes for it. So not just a travel oven. It's so cool.
especially
Yeah,
something
I
for
guess,
yeah.
is there any really good accessories that Rory makes? I think they do like a door skin and a latch. I guess the latch would be good, right, to save your Chico
Yeah,
rolls
so
rolling around the
that
back
brings
of the...
me to it. I was gonna say the latch is actually a really good thing. So there's a little bit of people in the travel buddy and yeah, pretty much the travel buddy community are like, nah, the latch as it is fine, and it does work okay if you're not off-roading. But I have
Yeah.
found when it's actually properly latched shut, I feel a lot safer about driving over stuff and not having everything fly everywhere. And that's for me as well. I never use, for not a single bake that I've ever done, I've never used an oven bag for anything that I've baked, and I've cooked chickens up rock steps and stuff like that. And I found the combination of the double height roasting tray with the locking door means you kind of don't end up with anything spilled anywhere. It stays pretty self-contained. So
Yeah.
and the insulated door does help. In the summertime, you don't notice it much, but I've done a bit of cooking at the snow and things like that, and it does help with heat up times in the snow because you're losing less of your heat out the front door of the oven. Not so much of a problem for people with the Kick-Ass and Road Chef ones because it comes pre-insulated. But yeah, good upgrade for the original Travel Buddy.
I think if I could improve my Kick-Ass one, if I could do any one thing, I'd love to see like what you get on, say, like a Weber BBQ, a temperature gauge on there that tells you that internal temperature. So, because obviously we're preheating the ovens, right? That's the best way to get them hot before you start cooking. But I think that's the one thing I'd like to see if anyone starts to upgrade them, would be a temperature gauge. That would be awesome. Is there anything else as someone that uses it way more than me, you've become the aficionado on cooking in ovens.
It's so funny. I love it so much. It's hilarious.
Is there anything that you could say if you were talking to a manufacturer? What would you say would be a worthy, upgrade?
I think the one thing that I'd really love to see is somebody to figure out how to do the fan force thing. I think that's a little bit of a pipe dream because I just don't know how you'd actually manage to make it work. But Other than that, I feel pretty happy with how the oven is. In terms of stuff like the temperature monitors, you can actually do it, and I've had success. You don't see it on the videos because it doesn't look very pretty. But you can actually use like your kitchen meat thermometer. Usually the ones
Okay.
that they've got like the metal cable going to the probe. And if you
Yeah.
if you put that in the tray with the oven, you can actually get the door shut with the probe in there, so you can
Oh,
have
right.
a real time temperature monitoring of what the oven's doing.
Yeah, that's and I think places like Audi even sell those little monitors
Yep,
with on the wire, right? So you can pick them up fairly
mine
cheap.
came from Aldi. I think I paid
Ah,
like
right, cool.
$15 or
So that's a
something.
good
So
tip. Yeah, good tip for people to look out for that next time it's on the special buys then in camping week or
yeah,
cooking week.
it's in that aisle with all the mad stuff in the middle.
Yeah, everyone loves that aisle, right? I mean,
Oh,
I don't even know
that's
if
the
I've ever
best
looked in
part.
Audi for anything else.
I
I
bought
still have
everything from
that
there.
feeling like when
Yeah, it's
you
like,
know, when you're a
what's
kid
it
and
going
you
to
just
be?
run. Yeah, that's it. It's I don't tend to get the catalogs. I just, you know, Andy goes off and does some shopping, and I'm straight in to see what the special buys are. It's all about the special buys. And
That's right.
for
I'll
those
see
that
you at
know,
Aldi next Saturday morning.
yeah, awesome. I'll get there at 7:30, like the keen beans that do.
That's all right. I'll get my little shopping bag, my reusable shopping bag ready. We get a fist fight in the car park.
Cool. So we were camping at the weekend, and we were sort of sat around the campfire with our friends and having a chat about what could be next for Baked in My Car, and there was some crazy suggestions. Things like baked on the back of my jet skis. So what's the plans for this year, Mark? Are you going to do anything new?
So this year I've kind of had a bit of a thing with boating at the moment. I got my boat license recently, so you may
Cool.
see the travel buddy go out in a speedboat, or maybe onto a yacht or something like that. Um, Also, we're kind of half looking into the idea of drag racing with the travel buddy, because we're not entirely as. I don't think there's any record for the fastest land speed of a moving chicken, like of a roasting chicken. So maybe we could try for a record.
That's insane. Yeah, it's got to be worth doing just for, you know, just for the gram alone, for the gram hits.
Yeah. So first of all, take the FJ out. We might be able to do like a high 25 if we.
So cool. So yeah, I think that sounds excellent, Mark. I think a big thing about Baked in My Car is your personality, and so like I hope that doesn't change, because I think that's really what makes the channel. It's kind of a crazy idea, cooking gourmet level food in the back of a car in a 12-volt oven, but somehow you managed to pull it off. So awesome job. Yeah. Any last words for the millions of your fans that are going to watch this?
Oh, just keep cooking things in your travel ovens. Like just try anything. If you think it's going to be stupid, try it anyway because it may work. Because that's pretty much the way that I've always done it with this oven. Is like there's no real wrong way to do anything. And if you do cook something, please like share it with me. Because I always on my Instagram page, if there's ever anybody who bakes stuff, or if you've got a really cool setup with your oven, just tag me at Baked in My Car, and then I'll share it up on my story and stuff. Because I really want to build like this community of people who are all cooking ridiculous things in strange locations in their oven.
Yeah, that's great, and it comes across that you're doing it for other people, and I think that's a big part of what makes the channel. So, hey, mate, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Hopefully, you're going to help towards the success of the Dot 38 interviews, and I don't think you need me to help with your success because it's going great.
Every little bit helps. So.
Mate, have a great one. I hope we get to go out camping again soon. And
Definitely.
let's agree to check in real soon and catch up and see what you've been doing in the oven.
Sounds like a fantastic plan.
Cheers, mate. Catch you soon. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Cheers.